And we are back. What up, Shane?
How you doing, brother?
I like that shirt.
Oh, Midland High Bulldogs, baby.
That's my wife here. She's a Bulldog.
Yeah.
Well, y'all love that, huh? Midland High?
Yeah.
You remember that game when they lost?
Which one?
In San Antonio, I think. Or
Man, honestly, I don't follow. I don't follow football as much as I follow baseball. Probably the last 10 years, because my son plays baseball.
It was when they went. It was like a championship, Midland High. It's when my wife was in school, and it was the end of the game, and they messed up. The other team threw like a Hail Mary, and they got too.
Oh no!
They got too cocky. Anyways, I digress. What up, everybody? We're back to the Good Plain English podcast. We got a lot to talk about, Shane.
Yes, sir.
Things are going wild in America. First topic at hand, I would say the Trump rally.
Oh man, that was crazy to see that in New York City.
20K and probably 10 to 15. I think maybe 20 outside.
Well, here's my thing about that, real quick.
Ahead.
So we know that for a basketball game, it holds 20K, right? That's how many tickets they sell for a basketball game. But he's in the middle of the floor, and he's surrounded by chairs. That floor was filled with chairs and a stage. So, I mean, it's probably quite a bit more. I wouldn't say no 50, 60K. I'd say probably every bit of 30 or whatever. But still, just the fact to fill that up and all those people that were standing outside, and not just the fact that they were standing outside, but they lined up way early to get to Madison Square Garden.
I heard that some stayed overnight.
Oh,
like
really?
Some
got there early and camped to have
the night
spot.
before. And,
yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it because make sure everything looked good on mine. My bad, y'all. We on the fly here. I heard they did, and I've been to Trump rallies. I went to one in Dallas, and man, it's just a awesome. The excitement's in the air. What I want to touch on that real quick though is it went viral at Kamala's rally. A white woman yelled at a baby.
Oh yeah, in Houston, of all places.
And in there's some black Kamala supporters in the crowd, and they one of them was checking her ass.
Yeah, and thank God for her. Thank God for her. That right there. When I saw that, the first thing I thought was, she's unhinged. To get down in a toddler's face like that, that woman's unhinged. And God bless the woman that pulled her shoulder and was like, for a minute I thought she was going to slap the fire out of her.
Hey, I tell you what though, they're trying to find her. I kind of find it odd that they haven't found her yet.
I've seen that they identified her,
but no, that and I saw that and I didn't want to share. I'm glad I didn't. Right. I would have got a fact check, and man, they treat you like crap when they give you a fact check on social media. But to be honest, they said it's not her. It's like it's someone part of her campaign.
Yeah,
because it hits Twitter, y'all. Be very careful.
Yeah,
when stuff hits Twitter, you got to kind of be careful. I know we want to get ahead of it. I love to get ahead of stories, but you got to be careful because you share it, and then on Facebook, they're gonna hinder you in your growth and your monetization, whatever you got going on your platforms. But it wasn't her, Shane.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think it's kind of odd that they haven't figured out who it is in this day and age.
Well, let's go back to this. Let's go back to the J6 guy. A guy walked around and put right by a political office in the midst of all this with all the heightened security and all the extra law enforcement. And they've identified people that had all kinds of masks and face paint on and all of this. And if you went in that Capitol, you're going to jail. They're still arresting people. They're still charging people. But with all this technology and all of that, they haven't found that guy. And they haven't identified any of the people that we know. There were at least one busload of mixed in with that crowd. And they haven't identified none of them.
Well, we know why. Oh, we can only speculate. Hold on. Excuse me. So they haven't identified her. It's pretty interesting. Horrible, put it this way. Horrible, the way she treated that baby. And I think they said that he had a Bible in his hand and he had a microphone. Maybe he was a preacher, street preacher, something to that effect. And she yelled at him. It's just horrible. I got a clip, 180,000 views of Kamala with her accent. She was at the church. And these videos, I mean, they're easy for me to make. I clip her.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, and I share it. 180K on Instagram, 170K on Facebook. But people are like tripping out on her accent, the way she acts. I just posted one with her on the Shannon Sharp interview. Trash. And we're talking about the Trump and the Rogan podcast here in a minute, which was amazing, bro. But her accent, bro. She just keeps with this fake, and we'll touch on it a little bit because we touched on it before, but
Chameleon.
A fake woman. I told my wife, I said, who acts like this or talks like this? My wife said plainly, someone fake. Your thoughts on the accent?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's like anything else, anything in the political realm, the entertainment realm. I mean, we've seen over and over again that they have this public persona they're coached up on. They're taught and trained to act a certain way, speak a certain way. And just like they can teach people to speak proper English, they can teach people how to speak in whatever dialect or setting that they want them to speak in. That's my opinion.
Oh, you see these things trained.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not, I would say it's not on the fly. You know, they give her a little coaching. They tell her, hey, hit this point, say that point. Don't say that quite like that. And don't use no hard R's. I had to throw that out there. Man, that's low hanging fruit.
There you go.
Real quick. We didn't mention this a while ago, but on the subject of the woman getting in the baby's face, let's go back. They haven't identified her, but I know that recently, we may have talked about this last week, the lady Bevelyn Williams, a mother of 3 young children under 8 years old, she's been sentenced to 3 years in a federal prison for protesting outside an abortion clinic. So the same people that sat by and cheered while Antifa and BLM burnt cities down and killed people, they put this woman in there, and she's getting quite a lot of attention. One, because she's probably the youngest that's actually a mother with small children at home, and she's also a black woman. But I started looking, and there's quite a few. There's quite a few people that are in prison for protesting outside abortion clinics. And man, that stuff's got to stop.
You know that's my sis, right? You know I went out there with her, and we were
Oh,
out
is
there.
that the same Bevelyn?
That's Bevelyn Beatty Williams. She got married.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wasn't making the connection
That's
because her name changed.
She is her, and it's off the tongue. Esme, I think is her sister. Her other, the woman that's always with her, Edme, I think is her name. Sorry, sis, if I messed it up. It's kind of a hard name to say,
Okay.
but they flew me out to the East Coast.
That's right. That's right.
And we actually had big plans, Shane, to do a lot of stuff. And then she got stabbed by BLM.
That's right.
And from that, I think it hindered her because I think it cut her liver. You know,
Right.
she got hurt.
Yeah.
And that's my sis. If I've never met a woman as devout in her faith, bold, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I've seen some conservatives talk bad about her because they said that she was in the clinic, she was hurt somebody's hand or whatever. Whatever. You know, I'm not even gonna sit here and debate any of that. We know what they did to her while they're doing this, right? She's somebody. She's vocal, and
her voice is powerful.
Man, powerful. She's the one that went.
She's genuine.
Well, she's the one that went and spread that on the BLM. Remember, she did all that paint on the BLM. She has some big plans. We were gonna do some pretty big stuff and probably go big time viral. We're gonna make some big moves. What her plan was, I'll say it right now. It was me and 2 other brothers, street preachers, and she was gonna have like a team ready to go because that's when BLM was out there.
Yeah.
And she was like, "We're gonna have y'all ready."
I remember now, like a quick response team.
Exactly.
I remember you telling me you was going to be traveling.
And she said, "We're gonna, once something happens on a flight, boom, we're gonna go hit somewhere and go, light it up for the name of Jesus." And but like I said, then she ended up getting stabbed by BLM. And from there, she had legal problems and all kinds of stuff. So, anyways, Bevelyn Beatty, that's my sis, and it's very sad what's happening to her. But I would even say it's kind of even more sad too, seeing a lot of conservatives that are like turning on her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, Shane, and this is me being candid here, bro. I kind of feel like sometimes, like my Christianity, like I'm not too much accepted sometimes with some of the MAGA.
Right.
And then same thing with the Christians. Some of the Christians don't accept me because I'm with the MAGA.
So real quick, let me touch on that. Absolutely, I'm a Christian. Absolutely. Poor excuse for one, but nevertheless, I am one. And 100%, I agree abortion is wrong in any case. I do know we can't govern, we cannot legislate. The Constitution, in order to protect our religious freedom, prevents us from legislating our moral code. And all the issues that were not federal issues that aren't brought forth in the Constitution, they're to be decided by the states. And this is why I hate the lie that they're saying, Trump has a federal ban on abortion. There's no federal ban on abortion. They kicked it back to the correct places. And that is part of what made this country as great as it has ever been is that you can have these policies in California and different policies in Texas, other policies in Florida, and then you can see what's working. California's failing miserably, economically, culturally, socially, right? And another benefit of that is if you are one of those people and you live in Texas and you want to have abortion, you're welcome to go to California and have an abortion. You know, plain and simple, you know, I would say I can understand not just an abortion clinic, any medical facility, hospital, doctor's office, whatever. I could understand saying you cannot enter the premises as a protest, as part of a protest, and you cannot hinder, grab a hold of, or block the entrance of it, whatever it is, as part of a protest. But remember, these are people that allowed protests that burnt cities down, killed people, broke through doors, windows, looted buildings, and they cheered for them. That's what burns me up. They had the gall to prosecute such a woman that she's making a stand based on her beliefs. She's not harming nobody. She's not destroying any property. But, you know, that's a two-tier justice system we have.
And to go a little bit deeper, Shane, it's kind of saddening, to be honest, because already as a Christian, you know, I feel like we're kind of already, I don't want to say we live a lonely existence, right? But it's somewhat lonely when you're a Christian because you're not going to hang with the people that are living wicked. Not saying that we're perfect, right? But you start learning that you can't go somewhere, you can't hang with certain people. You might lose friends, families due to your religious beliefs. But it's kind of harder, especially for people like us that are involved locally. And then we got a MAGA hat on, right? And we're seeing the local political scene the way it is, the national scene how it is, and we still got to hold on to our religious beliefs at the same time, you know, stand for the Constitution, right? The founding documents of the nation, and to be a Christian citizen. I don't know. I always find it like a struggle, Shane, because I've seen some Christians, I'm going to say right now, I think a lot of Christians, it's their fault we're in this mess because they didn't get involved in politics. But some Christians are so heavenly minded, they do no earthly good. They're sitting there and they're just waiting for Jesus to return, and the nation's going to crap, their own city's going to crap. But, you know, they're making posts about Halloween's wicked and they're not going to celebrate Halloween, right?
Right.
But they got men in drag reading to their kids, or they got people like Heather Bredemus promoting explicit books for children in the city. But, you know, they're not going to get involved in none of that. They're too focused on, you know, what they believe is the right thing, which, of course, it's good to be a Christian. But I'm just saying a practical Christian, you know, that's involved, you know, there's always an internal struggle as far as I'm concerned, being involved in politics and then being a Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. There's some turmoil right there. And you won't understand it, y'all, unless you are someone that's involved. If you play either side, you're not really going to understand it. But whenever you're a Christian with the MAGA hat on and you're involved in both arenas, political and religious, right? It's a struggle, Shane. I'm going to be honest.
I see the same thing with, like, you know, say Bryson Gray. I got tremendous respect for Bryson Gray.
That's my homie too. That's a brother right there.
And, you know, I see people turn on him and he stands where he stands. And I understand that. I respect it a lot. You know, I get to the point where what I like to look at is, you know, I always go back to the individual and personalize it, right? So
even the lefties, even the haters?
Well, the way I would approach it is this. I go to a lot of places, you know, events, gatherings, or whatever, where there's people we don't agree on everything and whatnot. And sometimes they choose not to talk about politics, or they choose not to talk about things that get off into theology or religion or whatnot.
It's divisive.
And that's all good. But sometimes we have some pretty live conversations about these topics. And, you know, I'll always leave with the same token. I'm not going to legislate. I'm not going to advocate that they pass legislation to keep you from doing something. But I'll be damned if we should sit here and let you legislate that we can't say something about it. It's the same thing with, you know, no matter what the issue is, if it's a moral issue, thank God that I'm loved despite my sins. I mean, I'm capable of loving and respecting somebody that I know does something that is sinful or unbiblical. But I'm not capable of pretending like what they're doing is right. It's kind of like the deal with the leadership in the churches in America. You know, a young kid comes in and he says he's whatever. He should still be welcome in that church, but by no means should somebody that's based their career and what they're supposed to be spreading is the word of God and the gospel. Should they be saying, "Oh, that's okay"? You know, we're going to celebrate that. You know, and this and that. You know, that's all those conversations have to say. You know, that's not right. It's not. And you know, I would say also, you know, I know some parents that they have kids that are, you know, or whatever, and you know, I applaud the ones that love them enough to tell them the truth and say that, you know, not only is it a sin by the Bible, right? It's not good for them.
Very unhealthy.
I mean, I personally feel like that many issues come about not just because of that, but sexuality in general, and the same with drunkenness, adultery. All these things are from the same mindset that anything is tolerable as long as you don't hurt somebody else. Well, as long as it's not hurting somebody else, it probably should not be criminal, right? But that doesn't make it right.
Interesting. Speaking of that, man, I don't even know if I can go down this rabbit hole with Bredimus. I only saw the picture I shared of her.
Yeah.
I just want to say this real quick, y'all, because we're election days less than 8 days away for the whole nation and locally. This woman is something else, and I say that because there's a picture of her floating around at a Pride parade with young children there, and they're just fully, I mean, they're promoting it big time. And besides that fact, and she claims she's a Republican and a Christian, Catholic, she's publicly on the internet threatening to sue private citizens, right, due to them disagreeing with her. And she's actually blocking not just citizens, but other people and pages, should I say, that are asking, you know, concerning questions, that are concerned citizens that are asking good questions. She's just blocking them. And I say this, these are the kind of leaders, wicked leaders, in my opinion, that are trying to rise up in our cities. And then they end up there, they are, you know, Kamala, you know, by the end of it, they're leading the nation, God forbid. But I'm saying locally, we have people like Heather Bredimus that are anti-free speech, pro-filth, I'll leave it at that. And these are the kind of people that we cannot have in office, in any leadership position, in my opinion. And I even said, man, if they vote her or the rat, if they get in there, I mean, if Midland wants to go to hell, I'm probably going to end up letting it, because this is the people these are the leaders that the people are picking if they end up getting elected. Your thoughts on that real quick, and I want to kind of move on, but I just want to touch on that because this woman is unhinged.
Two points there. The first one we'll address with Heather Bredimus. Running for an official position where you're going to be an elected official, I don't think you should block anybody. I think that's wrong. As a private citizen, yeah, man, I'm all good with that. You don't want to listen, you don't want to hear somebody, whatever, that's your choice. But I think when you're running for public office, that just speaks to a mindset that says, I'm only going to listen to people that agree with me, and I don't care what anybody else has to say. We're marching forward. This is what we're here for. It's you know, it's horrible optics, and it to me speaks to a character flaw. You know, I think you got to be able, be willing to listen to people, and even people you disagree with. The second one, as far as everything else with the leadership in general and the general way it's going or has gone, and the things that they try to do, what a lot of those people need to understand is many people like me, we're not concerned with what they do in their private lives. What they do in private meetings. They got a club, a clique, whatever you want to call it. They have their meetings. They do what they want. They say what they want. They do what they want in their house, their own backyard, whatever. Concerned with two things. At public institutions, in public places, you don't do inappropriate, vulgar stuff in front of children, and you don't solicit children to read and find, you know, stuff that's really for adults. I mean, you just can't do it. And especially on the taxpayer's dime. I mean, that would be my opinion is why would any taxpayer's money be spent on buying, vulgar type books or pornography or anything like that? Even if, and then you say, okay, well, we'll donate them to the library. Well, you better have a place where kids can't get to them. You have to.
And that's the thing with her. She was trying to leave it to where these books were easily accessible to children. And we just said, hey, put them in a place where kids can't get to them. Because it's basically, I mean, it's softcore, you know what? I don't even want to say these words over here. And they're making a movie about it. And it's fixing to premiere tomorrow at True Light. There's a documentary that's coming out about the pastor. But anyways.
Is that the one that Michael Booker and him, he went and met with that preacher?
And I'll tell you what, I would have been in that. I probably would have been in that movie myself.
Yeah.
But that day, I didn't answer the phone. Because we had been going at it with these people for months, and they told me they were having another meeting, and I was working late that day, and I came home, and I really didn't, think about it, but it went viral because that preacher went that day, at all the days I didn't go, and caused a ruckus, but they ended up making a movie, and Booker's in it, and, Booker's a good guy. I salute him, but that's coming out tomorrow at True Light. They're going to premiere it. I digress. Let's go on and get away from all that. I don't even want to talk about this woman. She just gives me the creeps, her and the rap. The rally, Trump rally, I want to touch on that. I didn't get to touch on that real quick, though. But, well, not even the Trump rally. I just want to touch on that, and then we'll go to the Rogan podcast, should I say.
Yes.
The Trump rally was electric.
Oh, absolutely. The atmosphere was crazy.
In New York City, just amazing. And then, of course, George Lopez, they come out. I told my buddy, too. This comedian, Bonehead, he made a mistake.
Right.
To me, I don't care.
Right.
You can go way worse with the joke. I don't care. But we know in the political climate we're in now, they use this comedian's joke about Puerto Rico, which he's not lying, and nobody's really offended except for the lefties. But they use this joke for the whole day to run with this narrative that they're so horrible. I heard so many people melt down that Trump's rally was nothing but hate speech and all this crap. It's free speech, whatever. But it was a beautiful rally. It was amazing. When I saw on the TV, I said, man, something is up, man. We're going to hopefully win. But the point is, this comedian says a joke, and they use that to basically downplay what we've seen, how awesome the rally was. But George Lopez, the day before, he talks bad about Mexicans. But we don't even care. I didn't even clip it. I don't even care. But now I'm already clipping now.
He's a leftist, so he has a free pass. But real quick, I want to speak to that. So this is a comedian. A lot of people probably don't know him or whatever. So it's easy to get offended when somebody that you don't know says something. But speaking specifically to men, I want you guys to think about the conversations and the jokes and the cutting up that we do in locker rooms, dressing rooms, job sites, all of that stuff. When it's just men, I know y'all are not going to let these people make y'all keep feeling like you have to be so sensitive that you can't even laugh at a joke. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm not surprised they made a big issue out of it, but men need to quit pretending to be upset because their wife is upset or because CNN said they should be upset.
And I'm going to be honest, when I'm amongst other men, I try to, just me being a Christian, not saying I'm perfect, right? But I like to keep the horseplay or any kind of vulgar talk. I don't like to entertain it.
Right.
But you're right. Speaking to a general, let's be honest, some men are really hella vulgar, and some people at the work site, you can't tell them nothing. They're going to cuss a storm and talk perverse as much as they want. But you're all right. Men in general, they say worse stuff than this stuff. But the media highlights it and blows it up. But the thing is, don't be tricked, y'all. They're trying to trick you and point at that. When Lopez was saying it, George Lopez said something probably equally the same, I guess. I don't even care. But he said the day before he gets a pass, but they use that to basically just to cover the excitement for Trump's rally. Kamala sucks. There's other clips that I have of her on my page. Check me out on all platforms, y'all. She's walking through a factory, and I forgot exactly what it is, but she's like trying to touch it. It's shiny.
Yeah.
And they're
Can
like,
I touch it? They're like, no, don't touch it. And she touches it anyway.
Yeah, and they're like, that's the kind of leader you don't need around a big old red button, basically.
Right.
You want to touch it because it's shiny.
Yeah.
And they made some jokes on the comments and all that, y'all, but she's just something else. She's very easy to clip, like you said, low-hanging fruit. But I digress. I want to go to the 49ers thing. I didn't know it'd go viral. It already hit like probably 7,000, 8,000. I don't know how many views now on my Instagram, but there's a crowd of 49ers. They played yesterday against the Cowboys. We got whooped. I don't think we're ever going to win the Super Bowl as long as Jerry Jones is alive. That's just my opinion. I'm not going to say that God's punishing him, but I kind of say that. I think that he wants it so bad.
He's too arrogant.
Something's up with Jerry Jones. I don't think he's going to see a Super Bowl this side, of heaven. But I digress. They played yesterday. The 49ers, whooped us. We carved pumpkins. We had a good time here under my gazebo. But there's a clip of Hispanic family getting denied entrance due to a MAGA hat. Your thoughts? And man, the people from California, it's crazy. It's kind of what you said about California being red, right? Or Reagan and all that back in the day. But I got people in the comments talking crap. Man, that's freaking commies. And there are people from California. They follow me on Instagram that are talking crap. And it's a pretty crazy clip of a family being denied due to a red MAGA hat. Out of the gear they wear, there's a bunch of even gangbangers out there in this area. And they spotlight somebody wearing a MAGA hat and don't allow them entrance into the stadium. Your thoughts?
Shame on the NFL. I know the last thing they want is, controversy, political controversy, all that, with all the ruckus it caused, with the Kaepernick situation and this and that. And let me say this. If you're not trying to hijack the platform, individual expression is fine. Doing that with knowing all cameras on you and you're trying to hijack the platform, NFL shouldn't allow it from anybody. My opinion, because it's a business, right? Like Michael Jordan said, Republicans buy tennis shoes too. And, when you brought up the 49ers, I hadn't actually seen the one that you're talking about. I thought you were going to talk about Bosa coming up behind his teammate with the Make America Great Again cap on, and people getting upset about that and, whatever. But, shame on anybody for telling somebody they basically got to throw their hat away or they can't come in the stadium. Individual person of the public, part of the public. We're not talking about a player or anything else. I just cannot imagine what that says. Well, I can tell you, I can't imagine. That's the society we live in. Corporations have become so woke that they're definitely not going to let people in with, MAGA gear or whatever. But the state of society where any business or any locale would have to worry about, man, if I let them in here, there's going to be a problem. Somebody's going to say something about that hat, this and that. That is so ridiculous, man. This is the United States of America.
It's sad.
I want you guys, anybody that has friends, family that's acting like that, when they see somebody in a MAGA hat, I want you to stop and think about something. The American military and the American workforce, we work side by side. We break bread together at work. Men in the armed forces die side by side. They depend on each other to keep each other alive and get through a mission successfully. Y'all think they're worried about what the next man, who he's voting for? Man, that is so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. And I actually had a good friend one time. Good friend. Love him. Man, his son's like my godson, man. And, a couple years after we had first met, we were talking one time, and I was like, man, you know what? Somebody said XYZ to me the other day, called me a redneck, He's like, man, to be honest, when I first met you, he said, just your appearance, just going by your appearance. He said, man, I was like, man, I don't know what's up with this dude, ball cap, white guy, this and that. And I said, no, I mean, I can get that, right? But he's the type of dude that whatever, he says, okay, so we play percentages. We play percentages in everything in life, right? I see a guy at the gas station, no matter what he looks like, no matter how he's dressed or how he's wearing his clothes or whatever. First thing I do, if he strikes my interest for any reason, I look at what he's wearing on his feet. Because if he's wearing work boots, pretty damn good chance he's a guy that gets up in the morning, goes and does what he has to do to take care of himself and take care of his family. And knowing that about him is enough for me. I don't care about his politics. I don't care about none of that. I don't care what he thinks about any other group of people or anything else. I know that he's the guy that's going to do what he has to do every day, you know, and, you know, you can't in life, if we judge people, you know, like they say, that used to be what they say, you know, prejudice or whatever you want to call it, judging somebody based on the way they look, right?
Unrighteous judgment.
Right. And so you can make small assumptions and this and that and go, okay, pay attention. But I would never cast aspersion on somebody, deny them opportunity or treat them different than I would treat anybody else until I saw behavior that told me, you know what, it's not my type of dude, man.
I mean, there's lowlifes in every color. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
But back to the hat there. I give them props because they stood up and they talked their ish. You know, the woman did, and the Trumpers are getting ballsy, especially in California. Because I know, man, it is something. Shane, people can attest to it. To wear a MAGA hat in public, especially when you're not used to it, or you're in somewhere like Cali, right, or really anywhere, because they act like that, bro. These people act a certain way to where you're like, damn, should I wear it? But I'm like, man, I'm in a free country. I'm going to wear my MAGA hat. But can you believe that's the society we live in?
Yeah, but I can tell you also when you say that they're getting ballsy, a big reason for that is that's the ones that are new to it. And the reason is they are really upset that they were lied to about so much for so long by all these people that they trusted and believed in. And I'm telling you, we get through this election and Trump gets inaugurated, things are going to change so much, not just politically, culturally. These people are going to have to live with the reality that nothing happened. All of this Nazi stuff that was supposed to happen, and Trump was going to round people up and put them in camps, and all this craziness, when it doesn't happen, what are they going to do? You know, I mean, but we have these, you know, like I say, the newcomers of the last year or so, 2 years, after they've seen all the craziness and all the insanity that the establishment, the media, the corporations have done, everything they've done to slander and defame the guy and people that support his policies. And then they wake up one morning and they go, wait a minute. Man, I've been working with that dude 20 years. He's not like that. That ain't him. Wait a minute. Man, we've been down at the park with them and we cooked chicken down at the park together. Man, that dude's not like that. You know, when enough people get to that point, they're never going to be able to change it back. They've lost control. They're going
to be like us.
That brings us into another point. Let me bring you up this point to you.
Go ahead.
2 articles came out this week in the mainstream media where they said they lost control of the narrative, the election narrative. And the biggest reason for that is, again, faith in the legacy media, you know, the NBC, CBNs, CNNs, all of these people, the printed and video versions, is at its lowest point in history. And it's there for a reason. And those days are over. Those people, this is why they have to package things on, you know, the NFL package or this streaming service and that streaming service to get you to buy these products, because nobody's watching for CNN. Nobody's watching for MSNBC. Fox News is a part of it. A lot of people on the left may think that Fox News is their enemy. Fox News is your ally. They try to sabotage the man. Anybody that's for America first, secure borders, and not letting America be taken advantage of on the international stage, Fox News is against them. And so it's a whole conglomerate, and their day is over. It's over with.
Who's going to take over that spot?
I'll be honest with you. I believe it's going to be mostly independent journalists.
Well, I would say we the people, you think?
Well, yeah. And people that build big followings, especially on X right now. But I'll tell you that what has to happen, what's going to happen, Google can get ready. All the little companies they own can get ready. Microsoft can get ready, there's going to be alternatives to y'all's services because people are not going to continue to use products and services of a company that belittles them, believes that they're less than equal, censors them, lies to them over and over again. People are not going to. I mean, that's like you were bringing up the Joe Rogan podcast a while ago with the Trump interview. You know, in 24 or 36 hours, it has like 33 million views. And then now you want to go to YouTube, you want to see it because everybody's talking about it. You search it up, you can't even find it. You got to go to Joe Rogan's page or something and look at his, you know, I mean, that stuff's crazy, man.
And we'll get into that next, but I just want to touch on real quick about people waking up. My sister did, my older sister. She said that she saw Trump for the first time speak at a different rally a couple weeks back. And she said, I never knew this was his plan. I mean, we're in West Texas, man. We don't want these illegals and the inflation. So my sister told me, like you said earlier, people, when they wake up, there ain't no turning back. They're going to be like us.
Right.
My sister went and voted, bro. She went and stood in line, Shane, and voted for Trump.
God bless her. I would just point out there's a reason why those networks get their biggest ratings, their most viewers when they cover Trump, when they have Trump on, when they were brought the previous elections, when they would show part of Trump rallies. You know, these were the most watched things on their networks. All this year, they don't show any Trump rallies. They don't do it until the one that the guy took the shot at Trump. Magically, CNN showed up for that one. But the reason that they don't is they do not want you to hear Trump. They want you to believe what they tell you Trump said. They want you to believe what they tell you Trump believes. They don't want him. And that's the reason that they're all in against Elon Musk, because he's made Twitter a place where you can go and you can speak the truth in your voice on your time and people can hear it unfiltered, and they hate him for it, bro.
Bro, I saw somebody made a tweet saying, thank you, Elon, for letting us have a fair election coverage and whatever. Man, Twitter's a place. I like Twitter a lot now. We're going to stay on the podcast here. And good point. They don't want Trump to really speak because I heard him on the podcast, 33 million views. I honestly believe it's being still suppressed, to be honest, Shane. Because they were even saying when they dropped the episode, somebody said, why you have it unlisted? Or they said, you have it a certain setting. Let this thing go free. I don't know, or go wild. But I don't know what they're talking about. But I think somehow the way they dropped it, the way Google handled it, because now I just saw on Twitter, if you go look for it on YouTube, and I did it myself, the episode does not pop up. Clips do, but Trump's main episode, and I barely searched it, and I watched it already, so it didn't pop up on my feed. And some, leftist said it's Joe Rogan's podcast. He's signed to Spotify, so they're not going to promote it on YouTube. But I'm like, that don't make sense because I know how YouTube is a search engine, number 2 biggest search engine in the world. It should pop up if you search it. So Twitter's going crazy saying that Google is shadow banning basically the interview. He went on the podcast with Joe Rogan. I heard about 75% of it. It's like 3 hours. He freaking talked. Yeah. My thoughts on that, besides the censorship, we'll get in that in a minute, but listening to Trump speak coherently, with vigor, with knowledge. He's a master builder. This guy, he's even candid. He's vulnerable. He even says when he got into office, he really didn't know certain things. He had appoint like 10,000 appointments, but he really appoints like 100 people, and they bring in the rest, right? They recommend. That's how it works. He didn't know about this. Rogan was asking him certain questions. My wife didn't like. She said how they were cutting each other off more. Rogan was doing it, but I understand because Trump was kind of trying to, I'm going to say politic, but he was kind of making his points. And I think for the most part, a lot of us have heard it, or it's not really going to do nothing, but it's not really going to help understand who Trump really is, because Rogan's kind of said like he's kind of heard it already, or he's like, let me make this point about how did you feel when you became president? Like I liked how he kind of guided the interview, but I do agree he cut off Trump a lot in the interview. Yeah. And I didn't like it, but I'm a Trumper. But he did a good interview. He was very, very well versed on Trump. I think he likes Trump, to be honest. But what I learned about Trump, bro, like I said, he was honest when he said that some things he didn't know about being president. He never was president before. So Trump portrayed great leadership skills, communication skills. I mean, this guy, he knows so much about building, planning, zoning. I didn't even know he helped save Dana White. And y'all better, UFC lovers better thank Trump, because the UFC was like on the downward spiral, and Trump did something. My wife told me better what he did, but He basically saved UFC and helped Dana White when nobody wanted to help Dana
Gave
White.
him places to fight at. Gave him venues. Let him fight at his
And even
places.
Rogan said, he goes, man, I didn't know the UFC would blow up like this. He goes, I like what Rogan said. He said, I thought I was crazy. Do I just like this because some weird primal instinct, or is this going to blow up? Rogan liked it from the very beginning. And him and Dana White, they're besties basically. And Trump is good friends with Dana White. So, and even Rogan said he's probably the reason why you're here because of Dana White. But the whole point is, Trump spoke very well. Kamala could never. She was just on Shannon Sharp talking about just an ignorant, low-hanging fruit podcaster. Shannon Sharp, my bad, Shannon White. Shannon Sharp, he said on the clip I just saw with Kamala, horrible interview from what I'm seeing the reviews, very shallow interview. He told her that Trump's going to take away our First Amendment. And then she said that he's going to take away certain First and Second Amendment. They're just talking hogwash on Shannon Sharp's interview. Just pathetic. That one looks like trash. But the point is, the Joe Rogan and Trump interview supposedly being suppressed. I believe it is being suppressed. I think it should have a lot more views. But when I watched that interview, I went away like many. I seen people post. Even I think Tatum said it too. Brandon Tatum. A lot of people walked away from that interview and said, "Man, this guy right here, there is something special about Trump." When you listen to how he speaks, what he says, the knowledge he has, that interview, I don't know if you got to watch it. I'm going to pass to you right here real quick, but that was one of the best podcasts I ever heard. And I almost finished the whole thing, but I was at work. And Trump just basically he's a man's man, a master builder, and he's full of knowledge. And I think he's not fake with these accents. He's not trying to, I think when you see Trump, you're going to get who he is when he's like, I think like me and you, Shane, there's no ulterior motives. We're not trying to portray nothing. I'm so blunt that people get offended. I think Trump's the same way. He's not trying to be deceitful. Yeah. He lets it all hang out the way he talks, and a real man can see that and say, hey, I respect it. At least he's an honest guy. The podcast I thought was amazing, and if anything, I think it made Trump look way better, and it did way better for him than any kind of negative impact at all. My bad. Go ahead, Shane. Your thoughts on the podcast?
Yeah, I would say absolutely.
Did you watch it?
I haven't watched it yet. But the fact of sitting down for 3 hours, having an in-depth conversation about a lot of topics. The one thing that I'll say, and this is what got me where I was willing to support Trump.
Yeah.
Several years ago, because like I said before, I was a cruise guy. The guy's genuine. And I will tell anybody this, the thing for me is I'm comfortable being myself, and I want you comfortable being yourself. And when you have an atmosphere with everybody comfortable being themselves, you can have open dialogues. You can have disagreements and you can talk about them. How boring would this life be if you and your wife agreed on every aspect of every subject that you ever talked about?
Well, yeah.
If you watched a movie and you agreed, you always liked the same characters, you always neither one of you ever had any critique of the storyline or the plot, or, man, it would be so
horrible,
bland to go through life like that. But in order for people to feel comfortable being themselves and be comfortable with other people being themselves, you can't have this cultural police state run by the media and HR departments where everybody has to be scared to death that they're never going to be able to show their face in public or they're going to lose their job by being genuine. That doesn't give anybody a license to be disrespectful or hateful or anything like that. But you can be real. And that's back to my point about Trump. I realized that early on about him, and I was supporting Cruz, and I started going, man, this is a guy that won't just talk shit. This is a guy that will name names. And this is a guy that when he says, I'm going to do this, he's going to do it.
He's dangerous to them.
And they say, well, why didn't he get this done? Why didn't he get that done? I'm going to tell you right now, I don't even blame the Democrats. Democrats opposed his policies and opposed him from the get-go. I blame the Paul Ryans, the Mitch McConnells, the Kevin McCarthy's, the leadership in the Republican Party and the Congress and the Senate that sabotaged him. I blame the John Boltons, all these deep state career establishment lackeys that serve in the National Security Council and all of these little organizations, they're built to shore up the deep state and the establishment. And they bide their time, and every once in a while, here comes one of them with a leak. He's exposed, so he's out. And then 3 months later, here comes another one with criticism. Oh, I can no longer support him because this is crazy. Man, it's not crazy. It's not crazy to shut down the government over funding for the border wall. That border wall funding is a hell of a lot more important than money for Ukraine.
Man, you got some good points, Shane. Imagine if they did shut it down, right, and say, we got to fix this. It's like when I heard in the podcast, hold on real quick. This light's bothering me. Turn it off on me. I don't know why. It's all good. One thing that I saw Trump say on the pod, you need to check it out, Shane. I heard it 2 times speed. I listen to my videos at 2 times speed. But he basically said on there that when he went to visit with the generals about, I guess, Iraq, right? Afghanistan, whatever. And he said they told him when he got there, he flew over there, and he said that they landed right there in the dark because they couldn't have lights on. Awesome pilots. And he said when he got there, speaking of a government, worthlessness, he said that they told him when he got there, do you want to take a nap or take a break? He said, no. He said, Biden would have slept for 4 days. He said, this is important because when they're talking about taking out ISIS. And he said that, how long will it take? And they said, well, we'll do it quick. We'll give a good meeting real quick. It won't take long. Trump went after landing and didn't go take a nap. He went in and got the meeting from the generals. And he said, yeah, boom, boom. They had the plan. He said, let's do it. And they got rid of ISIS in weeks. And Trump said, Rogan asked, what do you think is the problem here? That was it, incompetence? Why didn't the previous administration do it or whatever? He said that the people in the military, they're so structured in a way that they don't ever, they don't talk back on orders, or they don't really give their opinion. They follow orders. So if he said these fake generals, not the real ones, he said, but the fake ones that have a big ego, he goes, they go there and they don't really do nothing. And they don't get the orders to do really anything. They follow the orders, but they don't get to give input. But he said, I was able to take out ISIS in weeks. And that's just part of what Trump does. He's very proactive. He gets results. I forgot what else he talked about, but I know that he did say that about the ISIS situation, that the generals didn't agree with certain things, but they can't really voice their concern. But they were able to get rid of ISIS quickly whenever Trump went over there and gave him the power to do so, basically. Go ahead.
Well, 90% of people that serve as a general or admiral or anywhere high up in the Joint Chiefs of Staff, when they leave public service, they go get a job at Boeing or Northrop Grumman or all these agencies that make planes, tanks, bullets, bombs, guns. So, of course, they're going to have bad opinions. They're for anything that supports or creates more conflict. More right. Theaters to be in. And they know that as long as they support and advise, we can't let Afghanistan do that. We can't let Iraq do this and Syria do this. We need to do something about it. As long as they keep advising that, as soon as they're out of the service, they're going to have a consultant gig. They're going to have a spot on the board over at Boeing or wherever it is, making $200,000 or $300,000 a year. Same thing with these crooked ass politicians.
Man, it's a mess.
I think when a politician writes his memoirs, he ought to have to self-publish and self-distribute. No publishing deal. No, do it from or they can do it an official memoir from the government printing press in his own voice and his own words. Do it like that, and if people want to buy that book, they'll buy that book.
I'm telling you. Anybody watching, when y'all watch the podcast, you want to learn how the government works, the wasteful spending. He talked about the windmills. I posted that clip. He has a lot of good insight. And I think I ain't gonna lie, if Trump was in there, man, give him 20 years, man, I bet you he could really turn this country around. 4 years ain't good enough for Trump.
Well, we have to hope with J.D. Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy. There's a lot of guys, Byron Donalds, John James, Wesley Hunt, I would say Matt Gaetz. There's a lot of young America First congressmen and a few America First senators. We need to be building that bullpen up. And Because they're going to have to continue it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We need to lop off what we can lop off, but there needs to be a new drive going forward that the American people support. We're not for you to keep growing the government and wasting our resources. We're just not for that. We want a Department of Government Efficiency. To hell with government accounting. They don't ever fix nothing. They don't ever solve nothing. We all know what shape we're in financially.
Well, I think they asked Elon. I don't know if he's gonna get a position in the cabinet somewhere, but they, what do we need to do? He said, "Man, we need to cut a lot of government spending." He already had like a statement on that. I saw it. It was a clip. But I digress. Shane, is it too big of a monster? This thing is a fat, bloated, evil monster. The government's just full of corruption and wasteful spending. I don't know if we'll ever fix it, but let me say this: we're running out of time. What's going to happen after Trump if he does win? God forbid he don't win, right? But if Trump don't win, are we going to look at politics the same? Are we still going to be involved, you think? Because, man, with Trump, dude, it's exciting, it's popping, and I wonder if we're going to have that same vigor and energy for politics.
It's exciting and all of that for the reason that we believe Trump is going to do what he says. And we know that his policies are based on what's best for the American people. That's why it's exciting. And make no mistake, if this was another Republican running, willing to pass the same bills, when you hear bipartisan, run from bipartisan. Because you can't compromise with crazy. You can't compromise with evil. That's why everything they've done in the last 40 years, it has to be bipartisan. That's why they want to keep that narrow margin, a 2 or 3 seat majority in the Senate and a 5 to 20 seat majority in the House. They don't care who has the majority because it allows them to say, we got to compromise and do this shitty ass bill that's going to fuck Americans and help everybody else.
And let's be honest, that bipartisan bullshit, what it is, it's like some lukewarm, middle of the road, double-minded, you know what I'm saying? Everything you don't want to be, have a stance and stick by it, right? Yeah, I like what you said. I don't want to unify with no perverts, and I don't want to unify with no crooks.
Yeah, well, I would call it a principle. And the principle is that there's no way in the world when we have homeless veterans that can't get medical care and can't eat daily that we're sending money to other countries. There's no way in the world that we should be giving money to Israel and Gaza. We're going to finance both sides. Most of the weapons and stuff they have, they're going to say they come from Iran, but why? Well, we just turn around and give Iran X amount of dollars through the UN or the World Economic Forum or the World Bank or, I mean, there are American dollars and American puppet strings on virtually every international dollar that goes to somebody in aid. And
something ain't right.
Oh, yeah.
And he touches on that. What did they say on that podcast about funding them? I can't quite remember. I don't want to waste time on it, but yeah, you're right. This money going over there is trash. It's horrible. They brought up also RFK Jr. and I think he's gonna do great things if he's in there. But I guess winding down, Shane, I wanted to touch on, unless you want any other. I
got one more.
Go ahead.
And I almost forgot about this. Act Blue, the investigation into Act Blue. So they have found out, literally, that Act Blue is claiming it was John Tester in Montana, got a donation from somebody that listed their occupation as deceased from Act Blue. So all your money going to Ukraine and all this, and I'm sure there's probably some in the Republican side too, especially the Mitch McConnells of the world and all that, their little PACs. One point in particular that we know so far about Act Blue is there have been people listed as donors who are on record saying, I never donated money to Act Blue. And some of them are listed hundreds of times as donors to Act Blue, and they never donated to Act Blue. And what it is, they're just taking people off the voter rolls, and they have all this money that came back to them from Ukraine or whatever. And they're saying, well, we got $200 million. Joe Smith, Nino, Shane, we're going to put everybody. Hell, might as well put everybody on here,
Damn,
it's crazy. It's crazy the fraud. It's crazy the fraud that's gone on with that, and you can bet that a bunch of those dollars came out of our pockets.
Horrible, man. The money going everywhere. I'm America first. We shouldn't be sending money to no foreign nation, and people get mad about it. Christians support Israel. That's my theology. I'm gonna be honest. People don't like it. I don't support people that reject Christ. But the point is, I don't want to give no money to no foreign nation,
right?
Especially when they're out there, like you said, we're funding both sides.
The belief to fund Israel, that we need to support Israel, is used to justify funding everybody else, because they use that. They have to get enough votes to pass this bill, and they're willing to give everybody else money so they can give it to Israel. And I'm fine with whatever, if somebody came and killed a bunch of my kids like they did on October 7th last year or whatever, I don't care what Israel does. I would take the gloves completely off. I wouldn't even be nice about it. They need to destroy the people responsible. But that very concept of taking $1 and giving it to a foreign entity, that's why we spend billions, because they spent $1. Can't justify any of it.
Man, Shane, there's so much to touch on. Last thing, Fiddlesticks Farm. I went to Fiddlesticks Farm with my family, and our heads hurt leaving because we had so much fun. We pulled up, packed. I ain't been there in years. It was packed. Fiddlesticks Farm is in what's
Greenwood. Greenwood, just out there off of County Road 120.
What is the premise? Before I start giving my take, what's the premise of it? What is it? What is it labeled as? You know a lot more about it.
Man, I would just say it's kind of like an educational center. I know they do field trips for schools. The kids go out there, they get to see a milking demonstration, a hayride. But it's also got a lot of stuff to do. I mean, they have one of them big old slides, big old jumper deal, typical stuff you see at those little venues. But then they also, they have usually on Saturday nights, they have like a big fireworks display.
We saw it.
I've seen a couple of those, and they were amazing. It's like a stadium show.
That got to be like $10,000+ they paid for that. We were very impressed, Shane.
Yeah, I would imagine it's a lot of money. The one thing that I like when I go out there, like, the soft serve ice cream, because I love soft serve ice cream. And every time I go to McDonald's, it's like the machine's not working. It's always something. And then the food in general, man. I mean, I think usually when I'm out there, I either eat like sausage or brisket with macaroni and cheese. They got a lot of good food. But the best thing is, like, if I'd known you were going this past weekend, I might have went out there, because we can sit around, we can drink some beers, have a good time. Kids can go do whatever they want to do, go hang out over here with their friends, whatever, in a place, that's is safe. It's a good environment. You don't have to worry about any craziness. You still got to be careful. You're on. I mean, it's not like a farm, a daily farm where they're growing cotton or something and a tractor's going to run over you. But you still got to pay attention what the hell you're doing. There's lots of people. I think some golf carts, all that stuff. So pay attention like anywhere. I would tell you, pay attention to what you're doing, pay attention to other people. But as far as the atmosphere, worry about anything crazy happening or whatever, no, man, I love it, man.
Man, we pulled up, big old farm, so much activities to do. Last time we went, it seemed smaller. We pull up, it's dirt in the air. You're going to get dirty, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's good old-fashioned, West Texas. I liked it. My kids are in the room playing, Fortnite. But we pull up, all my kids, we get in there. Prices are they're good. They're a decent price. It's packed. They got food, drinks. We went down the slide. It was just amazing, Shane. So I couldn't believe it.
The reason I'm so familiar with it, my wife's been working there. Every fall season comes around, she and every year she says the same thing. I don't think I'm gonna go back to the farm, but she loves it so much. And I try to stay away from it as much as I can, because I don't want her to feel like I'm stalking her at work or nothing. Yeah. But whenever, every once in a while, she'd be like, "You want to come out to the farm?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to come out there." It's a good place, good people, and man, it's always a good time when I go.
Man, I went and saw them milk the cow, and then I saw the pig races.
Yeah,
man, everything. And my son wanted to go. We're already leaving. Me and my whole family. We had about 8, 9 of us, and then my son wanted to do the corn maze.
Oh yeah.
And they said they were still open, and we were already walking out. Me, my family, my sister, my wife, and kids. But then, my wife said he wants to go do the corn maze. We're already tired, man, because we did all the activities, man. There's so much to do there, so much fun, and we laughed so much. But I said, you know what, my son, he's always in the room. You know what I'm saying? I said he wants to go run in the corn maze. We all went corn maze, another hour and a half probably there. And I just want to say the Fiddlesticks Farm, if y'all get a chance, and if y'all live in Midland, Odessa, amazing place. Amazing place. I really, I I ain't had that much fun in a long time. Old fashioned, fun on the farm, and it was a great time. And I appreciate your wife inviting us there, Shane, and it was awesome. And
Well, you should have just told me that you were going Saturday.
I don't know if I texted
I was
or told
off
you.
this Saturday.
Dang, bro. I guess I should have told you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she told me later she saw you. She's like, Nino's out here. I was like, nah, I didn't know he was coming.
Yeah, my bad, Shane.
No, it's all right.
Well, to be honest, I kind of thought you would have been out there.
Nah, like I said, I don't want her to feel like I'm stalking her at work,
Yeah. It was good. Real good times. But anyway, y'all, thanks for checking out the podcast. Good plain English. And thank you, Shane.
Yes, sir.
We're out of here.